But if the price is right and he's willing to, why not? I don't see why it's a bad move.
So you heard Khalil Mack, and we played some of his highlights with the Chicago Bears. He's been in football in the NFL, Adam, since 2014 with the Raiders. So 3 years with the Raiders. He spent 3 years with the Bears and currently with the Chargers. Okay, so you've said this. I've heard that you and Black talk about this, and now you're bringing this to the table again, that you feel like Khalil Mack would be a fit for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I mean, there's a rumor out of the combine that he's interested in a reunion with the Bears. He was great when he was here. You can't hold the Khalil Mack trade against the Bears because Trubisky sucked.
Yeah?
I know that the results weren't there, but if you have any other quarterback with that defense, the Bears get something done. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I understand that he's 34 years old. He even, in the report, it says he doesn't want a spotlight role. He wants the backseat role. So what does that mean? Every couple downs, he's not a 3-down guy anymore. That's fine. He had 17 sacks last year. I understand he had one with 6 games. But even if you have, let's say you take away 5 of those, and he only has a 1-sack game, that's still 12 sacks. In a year.
Yes, Adam, but again...
He had 6 sacks last year.
He's projected at 3 years, $70 million.
Well, that's projected.
Yeah! Okay, projecting also could be the ballpark, too.
Okay.
I mean, Adam...
I'm not giving him that much.
No, I understand, but Adam, I would say that a few years ago, when he was a Bear, that would be a consideration. But the Bears are not ready for Khalil Mack and giving up that price, because look at the team.
I don't think he's getting that.
But I'll say this then. Okay, money aside, the Bears are not a Khalil Mack away from being a better defense. They're not, because need. I'm talking about on the line. You need a lot more than that.
I think he would make them a better defense. They're not a Khalil Mack away from being a great defense, but they're definitely a Khalil Mack away from being a better defense. Because if you can sign Khalil Mack, and let's say the prayer circle comes together, inshallah, that we get Mason Graham to the Bears. I've joined the prayer circle. You got to have in the prayer circle, someone's got to be facing east.
Yeah.
So that's me.
That's true.
With Shay
to the east, my brother, to the east
in the prayer circle.
Yeah.
So if you can add Mason Graham, Khalil Mack, and then you can draft another pass rusher that you can develop. I don't see how that's a bad thing if the price is right. You have money. I'm not saying giving him 3 years, $70 million. That's not what I'm doing. If he can, it's going to be double digits per year. That's a given.
What is a given? The sacks?
No. The money.
Oh,
he's getting more than $10 million a year.
Yes, that's correct.
That's a given. But if the price is right and he's willing to, why not? If you can get him for a 2-year deal with a very team-friendly 3rd-year option that where, if you have to release him or you have to cut him, it's not a huge cap hit in the 3rd year. I don't see why it's a bad move to bring in a veteran who last year had 6 sacks. If he gives you 6 sacks this year, at 34, that's still productive. That's still someone who can come, because we just talked about it last segment. How much of a mix of veteran and rookies do you want? Khalil Mack makes your room better.
Yes.
He does.
I'd like to know what that dollar figure is, though, for real.
Of course. It comes down to price.
Yes.
I'm not saying just throw 3 years, $70 million at him. That's not what I'm saying. If the money is right, he's a Pro Football Focus listed him as a top 50 player in the NFL. Not top 50 pass rusher. Top 50 player in the NFL based on metrics last year. And he only had 6 sacks last year. The year before, he had 17. He played 16 games last year, 17 the year before, 17 the year before that. He's constantly healthy. He's been a Pro Bowler the last 3 years. I don't see why not. You can't say no just because he's old. If it's too expensive, fine. If it's too expensive, I understand. But there's nothing wrong with bringing in a guy who is familiar with the organization, who is a productive defensive end, and who can make your room better. Why not?
I'm just saying, Adam. I mean, you're looking at Mac like the girl used to be with across the bar and have memories, and you are salivating over those memories.
But the girl down the bar who you still have it at the reunion still got it.
You think she's still hot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, listen, gravity takes care of all of us, but she still got it.
Okay,
she still got a little bit.
Is that what you're saying with Mac?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so Mac is a what to you now? 7, 8?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Still
Max
hot.
a solid 7.
Okay.
In the suburbs?
He looks much better.
We're going to the high school reunion, aren't we?
He looks much better in Arlington Heights.
Aren't we going to the? We're doing the high school reunion.
Yes. He looks much better in Arlington Heights than he does at Soldier Field.
He's not a Chicago set. Listen, Chicago 6, suburb 8.
Okay.
No offense to the suburbs, but I'm just saying the high school reunion. We're all listen. I just had supposed to have my 20-year high school reunion a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Did you go?
No, did not go.
Okay,
did not go. But I'm not saying that there wouldn't be people that you'd be like, okay, still got it.
All right.
He still got it, I think.
Jay Moore, put the needle on the record for us because let's play this tune from 2018. All right, here we go.
Rodgers on 3rd and 10. He is smothered. Give Mack and Bilal Nichols the rookie credit.
Chris Myers, give that guy a wow. Give that sack a wow. Boy, obviously not very good there. It was a Chris Myers game.
Yeah, the Bears were. Well, listen, I'm seeing in the Twitch chat, he'll get hurt. He played 16 games last year. He played every game the last 3 years.
Yes.
I don't understand why this is.
No.
He missed 1 game last year. This isn't a health issue.
No, there's a Lato 2.0 kind of feel to it, though. It is. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he pretty much is in the autumn of his career.
Yeah.
You believe that could solidify at least for a couple years. And I don't want this to be a Band-Aid. I want this to be someone that could be a force. And again, all of this conversation comes down to money, how much that would cost off your cap. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also think that the way we were talking about mock drafts, we were talking about free agency. He's the best available defensive end in free agency. You can't argue that. He's the best available defensive end in free agency. Shay? Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Jay Moore, agree? He's nodding. Okay. In the draft.
I didn't see that.
In the draft.
I don't believe you.
In the draft, at 10, you're most likely going offensive lineman or Mason Graham if he's there. Abdul Carter's not going to be there.
Can I convince you into Josh Sweat? No.
How much is he going to cost?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I would imagine what we're talking about here is that Khalil Mack would become cheaper because he's 34.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. Sweats is just 28. Kuntz from the Raiders is 27. Chase Young, we've been there and done that. We've seen him for a while. Seems like I've been watching him for 2 decades, Chase Young.
I don't think the tile's big enough for 2 Sweats.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair to say, especially those 2 guys.
I also just generally have a fear with Josh Sweat that his production is directly related to playing on the team he was on. Mm-hmm. And somebody's going to overpay him to not be on that team anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Mack on the top, but again, I'm just mentioning some guys that are going to be available on the edge.
I don't think you're getting a better defensive end because what are you doing? If Mason Graham's there at 10,
yeah,
in the second round, you're probably taking 2 offensive linemen.
That is correct.
So where are you getting your defensive end?
It's a good question.
So if you're not getting your defensive end until the 3rd, 4th, 5th, that's not going to be a day 1 starter. You hope it is, but it's probably not going to be.
I'll flip it on you about Khalil Mack because from Khalil Mack's standpoint, of course, when you're that age, you want to win something. You want to win.
Yeah.
And so if Khalil Mack comes back to Chicago, can he be productive? Yes. Is the team ready to be productive? That's the thing. Like, he'd be here helping the Bears, but where are you going?
The report is that he's interested in a reunion. So,
sure,
not necessarily. Maybe he just really enjoyed his time here. Maybe he liked living in the suburbs of Chicago and hanging out and going to Soldier Field every day.
Being an 8.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I mean, back then when they got Khalil Mack. I mean, come on, that was a 10.
At the time, yes.
It's not my fault that the Bears were a 5.
Yes.
At the time.
He was a 10.
Yeah.
When healthy, he was incredibly effective for the Chicago Bears.
And we've talked about it with Myles Garrett. I know he's not 34, but we've talked about these guys these Hall of Fame edge rushers, as they get into later in their career, they're still productive enough. Mm-hmm. And Khalil Mack is going to be a lot cheaper than trading for Myles Garrett because you have to give up draft picks and you have to sign the dude.
Yeah.
And I understand Myles Garrett would be a lot better. That's a better situation. Mm-hmm. But the same thing goes to your question. Are the Bears ready for Myles Garrett? They're more ready for Khalil Mack than they are for Myles Garrett.
Because it's a short-term deal.
Because it's a shorter deal. And this is when you are supposed to be overpaying for guys. This is where we're supposed to be talking about, okay, they're probably going to have to overpay for Drew Dahlman because he's the best guy out there. Mm-hmm. It's just the reality. Because you have a rookie quarterback This is when you overpay guys. In 3 years, if this was a time where we were giving Caleb Williams $65, $70 million, no, Khalil Mack probably wouldn't make sense because 20% of your cap is going to your quarterback. But now, when your quarterback is making next to nothing, this is when you're supposed to overpay for guys.
Yeah.
That's when you do it. Again, you make very friendly team outs.
Yes.
Just like Cole Kmet. Where if you need to get rid of him at the end of the year, it doesn't cost you that much off the cap.
Yes.
That's what you do.
Okay. So Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears. Would you like to see that? I will just say that I'm lukewarm on the idea, but of course, like anything else, I like to know how much money would be doled out by the Chicago Bears. And Khalil Mack, he's dipped his toe in the water, but does that mean that wants to come back to the Chicago Bears? Does it help the defense? Yes, Adam. But how long? How much? And again, he's carrying the load, Sweat's carrying the load, Billings in the middle, and then what? As far as trying to get to the quarterback.
I mean, that's not and Mason Graham.
And yeah. All right. We will see. I will tell you what. I'm glad we're playing the song of the summer again. Return the Mack.
It would be. This will go hard at Soldier Field this year.
312-332.
Fries.
The fries and the Mac?
Yeah.
Let them do a halftime show. 312-332-ESPN. 332-3776 is our telephone number. I've got 5 burning questions for you. That's coming up next. Adam Abdalla's in for Cap on the Cap and J